Minister Donohoe, you've previously said that the reason your government funds partisan campaigning NGOs is simply to encourage debate in society. But when asked, Junior Minister Joe O'Brien repeatedly refused to say whether he would be willing to fund any conservative or, for example, pro-life NGOs, even in principle. And while discussing NGO funding, he said it needs to be in line with government policy of the day. So my question is, first of all, is the minister correct? Is taxpayer funding only given out in line with government policy? And secondly, if that's not the case, would you commit to funding a more conservative or traditional social NGO, like a pro-life NGO, for example, yourself?
So when I answered your question on this there a number of months ago, I made the point that any government, including this one, makes taxpayers' money available to non-governmental organisations if they deliver two qualities. The first one is if they play a role in the delivery of services, particularly services to parts of our society that the government acknowledges need strengthening. We want to do better in supporting. And secondly, I did make the point that we do support organisations that play an important advocacy role, and in turn, by delivering that advocacy role, play a role in debate within our society. But we don't make funding available to organisations on the basis of whether they are, to use your terminology, liberal or conservative. We make funding available on the basis of, do they perform an advocacy role that our society deems has a value, and do they provide public services and support that complement what the state is doing. And that is the framework that we use. To therefore ask you a question, do we use taxpayers' money for purposes that are in line with the programme for government? The answer to that question is yes. And we wouldn't be using the country's money for purposes that we felt were not consistent with the programme for government and in general what the Oireachtas wants us to do. So whether an organisation is liberal or conservative is a matter for them. They're the two qualities that government departments look at.
So when you said earlier that it's about facilitating debate, it seems like sort of an unusual debate that only sides which are conducive to the government's own stated policy objectives get funding, and that ones which might think the government has disagree with government policy, for example, that those ones would not receive funding. What kind of a debate is that?
Well, you know, last time I checked, I think our airways and our discourse is full as it should be with organisations that have a differing view regarding the government and are capable of offering very strong critiques of what the government is doing. And that's as it should be in a democracy. And there are no government departments that I'm aware of that fund organisations because of their political view. They fund them because they play an advocacy role or they deliver services.
But is
Ben, that's my answer.
I'm just saying. But did you not just say in your initial answer that you're supporting organisations which are conducive to the programme for government, and now you're saying that you're not supporting organisations based on their political policies? Is that not a contradiction?
No, because I've said that the second feature in governments deciding do they support particular organisations or do they deliver particular public services, and those public services which are really valuable, for example, with regard to supporting citizens who have children that may need additional support, people and citizens who have health needs, their services, and those services are in line with our programme for government that talks about the value of public services.
Okay, over there, please.